Daniel yet, but we're honoring him today in his retirement. So this song the World Beat Band is starting with is actually one of Daniel Barber's originals. It's my favorite on his Marsupial Road CD. Here it is. It's called Thankful. Dreaming a new creation, feeling into the world, fathom the stars around us, holding a baby girl. I'm thankful, so thankful. Stepping into a forest, magic among the trees, treasure the ground to walk on, holy the air to breathe. I'm thankful, so thankful. I could fill an ocean with the tears that I could cry, remembering the moments that I missed on by. But still there is a blessing in the conjuring of how to live the precious moments left that stand before us now. Feeding a hungry angel, bearing a broken heart, opening, releasing a masterwork of art. I'm thankful, so thankful. Sue Tomlin, everybody. Take another one. With the tears that I could cry, remembering the moments that I missed and are gone by. But still there is a blessing in the conjuring of how to live the precious moments left that stand before us now. Giving love to each other, living it day to day, honey bread for the journey, joy spread along the way. I'm thankful, so thankful. Daniel Barber, we are thankful for you and everything you are and everything you've done for the last 20 years. Thank you so much. So thankful.
Good morning. Bob, I'm going to use this one to start with this morning. There we go. Good morning. Thank you, Paula, for singing that original song of Daniel Barber's, to welcome him here to this space today. You'll notice he's not in his usual position. And in his position over at the piano, we have Sue Tomlin. We're going to have different folks each of the next few Sundays here in September before we find our next full-time, well, regular replacement for the band leader. Sue was the band leader at Jubilee before Daniel, 20 years ago. So welcome back, Sue. Good morning. Okay, here's some technical things. So, other than when I'm talking, I'm going to have my mask on. That's one of the requests that we have made of everyone here to be together. It's tough. We're still trying. So we appreciate you paying attention to each other, and if you feel like hugging someone, maybe check in with them first, get their consent, see if they prefer a namaste or an elbow bump. Those of you who are out in internet land, we welcome you. We hope that you'll stay after the celebration today, because we're going to have both a blessing for Daniel within the celebration and a party for Daniel afterwards, and we're going to keep the cameras rolling, so we hope that you will stay and be part of that today. For those of you who are in the space and you have a smartphone with you, we ask that you turn it to airplane mode or all the way off. Do not use the Wi-Fi while you're in the building today. If you ever watch online, you may see that sometimes there's these momentary glitches, like there's a sound is going at one speed and the video is going at another speed, and that's because of our bandwidth in here. So if we can all help by keeping our bandwidth as clean and clear as possible, that will be lovely. I also heard something recently, I think maybe it was at last week's retreat, I can't quite remember, but someone said they really miss us having sing-alongs during the celebration. And I kind of scratched my head and went, well, every song we do is a sing-along in the celebration, except for when people are offering gifts and the prelude and the postlude. Maybe we've forgotten because we're not as big a crowd, and so we don't hear each other as well, and we're muffled by our mask, and so we don't hear each other as well. And maybe because you don't hear other people, you get a little shy about your own singing, and so you're softer, and so the people next to you are softer. So this is just a reminder that even with our mask on, there are two big things up there that will show you the words to all of our songs, and we would love for you to stand up, to dance, to sing along at the top of your lungs. This is a sing-along kind of celebration, and it always has been, and I can't imagine that it won't always be that way. So sing along. Okay. Today we are dancing with innovation, and I have just been at a festival in Hot Springs that is all about innovating spiritual community. The Wild Goose is a 3-day festival in Hot Springs every year, except it didn't happen last year, and it happened late this year. And their tagline, excuse me, I was talking a lot there, so my voice may be a little out, is spirit, justice, music, art. Spirit, justice, music, art. Does that sound like anything else you know? Yeah, everywhere I went and I told people about Jubilee, they said, oh my gosh, that sounds so cool. I said, it is. You ought to come sometime. And wherever you are, you can live stream us. So we may get some new live streamers next week. Now, this is one of those events, there's a main stage where they have big-name speakers and musicians, and then they have mid-sized tents where they have conversations with authors and thought leaders and spiritual leaders, and they have workshops, and they have all kinds of ritual happening in different tents, and they have a healing tent where you can go and get a Reiki treatment, and you can do centering prayer and healing Eucharist, and you can sing hymns while drinking beer at the Beer and Hymns every night. You can go to the silent disco late at night because everyone is camping there. So it's sort of like a big spiritual Woodstock. It always gets really muddy. It didn't rain this year. It rained the week before, obviously, but Usually it rains on that weekend, and so everyone's walking around in the mud, and it really does look a little bit like a spiritual Woodstock. So there's art and music and all of these tents, and there are convo tables where you can sit around, and they have different conversations that are scheduled throughout the day, and about 8 to 10 people can get around a table with discussions led by people who have a passion, so whatever their passion is. So I went to one, for example, called "Why is the Presbyterian Pastor Playing with Tarot Cards?" And around the table were a Southern Baptist minister, a Methodist minister, the lesbian wife of a Disciples of Christ minister, a Jungian spiritual counselor, 2 folks from a new church development out in Appalachia where they sit in rocking chairs and play banjos and drink communion from mason jars. It's that kind of experience. Now, the leader of this one was a Presbyterian pastor from a small town in Ohio that had a dozen or more tarot decks out on the table and a bunch of rocks and crystals. And she talked about how these are ways for her to play with the spirit, to tune into her own intuition, to listen for that inner voice of the spirit speaking to her through these archetypal images and the ideas of the cards and through the energy and the grounding of the rocks and crystals. Now, here in Asheville, that doesn't sound so weird. Why wouldn't a Presbyterian minister have a tarot deck or 2 or 3 and some crystals on her altar? This one does. But for many people who come to Wild Goose, they can't easily find that eclectic and open approach to spiritual community where they live. So they come to the Goose seeking spiritual innovators. It was such a good reminder for me of how blessed I am to live here in Asheville, and how blessed I am to be part of this community, where we can call the directions and dance to Bob Marley and listen for Holy Word and Christian scriptures and Sufi poems, where we honor the earth and her seasons. This place is such a gift. Let's not take it for granted. This is a place where dancing with innovation is in our DNA. So come on, Jubilee, let's dance. That's not metaphorical.
Good morning, Jubilee. It's great to be alive in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Yes, we need everyone to stand because we are going to dance. Yes, show the motions. Everybody doing this. A little step, 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 step. 1, 2, and now sing.
See a hammer cooking night and coast. 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 See a hammer, see a hammer cooking night and coast.
Oh, oh, oh,
See a hammer, see a hammer, see a hammer cooking night and coast.
go dancing.
We are dancing in the light of
God.
We are dancing in the light of God.
Aha.
We are dancing in the light of God. We are dancing in the light of God.
Oh, yeah.
We are dancing, we are dancing, we are dancing in the light of God. We are dancing, we are dancing, we are dancing in the light of God. See a hammer cooking night and coast. See a hammer cooking night and coast. See a hammer cooking night and coast. See a hammer cooking night and coast.
Oh, yeah.
See a hammer, see a hammer, see a hammer cooking night and coast. See a hammer, see a hammer, see a hammer cooking night and coast.
Thank you, Sue, for that. And thank you, Laura, for that reminder of the gathering of different voices and ideas. Recently have invited the head of Charleston Black Lives Matter to come to a native ceremony to sit with different elders in which to try to come up with some new ideas to some old problems that we've had. The innovations that we are able to collaborate with different people in our communities, the different experiences they've had, the elders in our community, and teaching our children, teaching our next generation to innovate their minds, to grow forward and go somewhere maybe they haven't gone before, to go sit with the elders and listen and look for that guidance that's kept us alive this long. And maybe sometimes the innovation and change takes us back to the very beginning of simplicity. And maybe that's part of my prayer today. And in a good way, we're here to dance and to celebrate. Daniel, thank you for everything. And if you will, face to the east with me, please. Oh, spirits of the east, we thank you for shining light upon the great mystery of life. We thank you for the expanse of the unknown. We thank you for the warmth that you offer us in these times of unknowing. Thank you for the comfort and the warmth and the embrace. There are times in our silence that maybe our doubts or our fears come to light. But know that we speak from the very depths of our heart and our spirit, our true soul and our true feelings. In a good way, we thank you for coming and shining a light upon our souls and our spirits. I hope. Face to the south, please. Oh, spirits of the south, to all the living beings of the water nations, we thank you. We thank you for all the nurturing that you provide for us. We thank you for nurturing the earth as we grow, all the beauty that we see before us. We thank you for filling our hearts. Thank you for the tears. Thank you for the laughter. Thank you for nurturing our curiosity for the great mystery. Know that we come to you sometimes not knowing exactly what to say, but just know, trusting in our heart, our presence is love. In a good way. Oh. Face to the west, please. Oh, spirits of the west, to all of those that have gone before, we thank you and we honor you. And we also ask you to remind us of the greatness of the ideas of past. Remind us of the greatness of the efforts put forth by all of those that have gotten us to this reality today. Thank you for the hearts and the minds and the inventive souls that are yet to come in with the next generations and guide us toward the future. Know, ancestors, that we honor you for marking that path for us in a good way. And know that we're coming to you and that you're always here in our hearts. In a good way, thank you. Aho. Face to the north, please. Oh, spirits of the north, thank you. Thank you for all your greatness and all the awesome might that you are. Thank you for each and every breath that is our life. Thank you for carrying the music of the wind and the animals. Thank you for your voice and thank you for your coolness. Thank you for embracing us with your love and your kindness. Know that we hear your voices and that we echo those voices in our hearts and our minds and our prayers as we look to the future. Know that we honor you and that we love you in a good way. Now, face the center, please. And to all the ancestors, we thank you. To the ancestors of all the words that we speak and the songs that we sing and the dances that we dance. Understand that each and every heartbeat is testament to our love and our wanting to go to the future. Continue to guide us in a good way. We honor you and love you and welcome you here with us to dance always in a good way.
Oh, what a wonderful world.
I see trees of green and roses too. I see the moon for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see stars.
Jubilee in Action. So, first of all, thanks to everybody who made the tribute videos and sent in messages for Daniel's webpage. We're going to play the video at his retirement party this morning, and I'll post the webpage with the video and messages on the website later today, and I'll do a little post in Facebook, both of our Facebook pages, to let you know that that's up. Chris Andrews, leader of the Baton Rouge Jubilee Pioneers, was scheduled to be our main speaker today. But Hurricane Ida changed his plans. And the folks down in Baton Rouge are really hurting right now. And Chris invites us to make donations to either the Baton Rouge Area Foundation or the Jubilee Pioneers. And if you donate to the Jubilee Pioneers, they'll identify particular people in Baton Rouge that need special help, and we'll work directly with them. Via Negativa starts September 19th, and our theme is Into the Mystic, exploring ancient and modern mystics. An outline of the seeds is on the website to inspire your creative gifts for upcoming Sunday celebrations. Joanna Manassi is holding a New Moon Fire Walk and Labyrinth Walk tomorrow at 7 p.m. at her home in Weaverville. It's free, and you can make donations to the Jubilee Hunger Fund if you go. There is a link on the website for signing up. And Joanna has generously agreed to match whatever's donated. So it's a nice way to enjoy a labyrinth walk and make a donation. As you know, we're going to have guest band leaders during the coming weeks. And next week, it's going to be Aditi and Jay, and we'll have some information about them in the newsletter coming up. And details and links for all the announcements are in the newsletter and on the homepage and on the Jubilee in Action page of our website. And now the board chair, Laura Ann Billings, has a message from the board.
Good morning, everyone here at Wall Street, and those tuning in via camera, and those who are watching what we now consider into the future. Here we are on this good ship Jubilee. Anybody wondering where we're going? How we're going to get there? Let's consider this a Jubilee Board in Action message, and Before giving you practicals about the steps that we're taking, let me just make a nod to context, right? We always know when things are taken out of context. Here's to putting us in context. Nationwide, across the country, we are at our first and all-time lowest in church attendance and affiliation, less than 50%. In the Southeast and locally as well, we know of churches in the past year who have had to sell their building and who are no longer. We have not missed a Sunday, Jubilee. We have not missed a Sunday. We are here. We are here, and here's some things about what the board is doing to live the questions about where we're going and how we're going to go and what shape we're in. First of all, about finances. Over the past 18 months, the board and staff has taken a relatively conservative approach to managing money. And what I mean by that is keeping very close track on expenses to align with income. Yes, we have received PPP loans, 2 of them in the past 2 years, which has been a significant help. Where we're going and how we're going to sustain ourselves is part of the work of putting together a 2022 budget, which we are in the midst of and moving toward, and hopefully we'll have to give to you early next month. It's just a guess. In terms of staffing and manning the ship, womaning the ship, from essential staff all the way to a ministry team, the HR committee is working really, really hard to create a plan. And that ranges from the specifics of job descriptions and contracts to creating an environment that is highly sought after. In other words, people want to work at Jubilee because it's a very special place and because we have good systems for communication. And so stay tuned on that, okay, in terms of who's being hired and when and how that all goes. The third big piece that we're working on is communication and community engagement. And so the retreats were highly profound interactions, meaningful communications. In addition to that, the board and staff have had a series of sessions, not formal meetings, but listening circle sessions. And we will continue with that. We will continue with all these things, meaning to communicate with each other in different settings about different important topics. And so via the website and the newsletter, please look forward to, and these as well, on Sunday updates. What can you do along the way? First of all, be sure that we know how to be in touch with you. Michelle has created and is continuing to update the directory so that when we reach out, we're sure that everybody is included. And if you want to be in touch directly, please use these mediums. In other words, if you go to the Jubilee website and who we are and to the board page, there is an email address that goes to everybody on the board. So if you have a message that you want to send, there's no bottleneck there, everybody gets it. Lastly and most importantly, this good ship, Jubilee, should be thought of more of a sailboat rather than a motorboat. And you know that a sailboat is balanced by strength and depth. Call it the keel or the ballast. So we are going deep and working on our strength to keep the balance. In addition, a sailboat rarely goes in a straight path, right? We tact or jibe, depending on which the way the wind is blowing. So it's constant course correction. And lastly, the sailboat is powered by the wind. So we trust spirit, the breath, the wind. Please keep trusting, and let's enjoy the dance. Thank you.
And now Vineet Allen is going to give us a gift of economic justice.
to a fast start here. This announcement is on behalf of my friend and brother Michael Smith, many of you know, who holds down the pillar of economic justice and fair wages for those who are working hard to support us. So, does a holiday really honor workers just because we call it Labor Day? The spirit of Jubilee in action invites us to honor struggling workers in tangible ways. We can leverage the disruptions of this pandemic to help build an economy that is more just and sustainable. One of the big challenges is raising the federal and state minimum wage. Long overdue, right? Huge part of what social justice is actually about. So let's listen to these 12-year-old kids talking about it.
What's the current minimum wage?
I thought it was like $7 and like 25 cents.
Right.
Wow.
Do you think
What's the current minimum wage?
I thought it was like $7 and 25 cents.
No.
how long do you think this wage is that feels
I know this. It's 12 years.
it's
No.
12 years. How long can you buy for $7 wage?
Chick-fil-A.
You can
I
buy
know this. It's 12 years.
like you can buy like one meal from Chick-fil-A.
Buy for $7.
Yeah.
Get the chicken nugget. Chick-fil-A.
You can buy Chick-fil-A. Still, chicken nuggets is meant for one person.
So how much longer should we wait to raise the minimum wage?
No longer. Just raise it right now.
Tyler, what do you think?
Like now, probably.
Raise the wages.
I don't know about you, but the sound quality was not great. I didn't understand all of what was said, but the basic message seemed to be, well, of course, if people are working hard, they should be paid what they should be paid, a living. So, as you know, we Jubilants are a community of active love, right? Love in action, engaged, actually making it real in the world. That's one of the reasons I'm here. As you leave this morning, Warren will give you a handout with 3 specific actions that you can take this week to make a difference for struggling workers. And I know that some of those actions are just clicking on a link and signing your support for the right policies. And those of you watching from home will receive the same action sheet by email and our next Jubilee newsletter. So thanks a lot for caring. Let's make a difference. Thank
you, Vineet. Good morning. So I wear another hat other than here. Can't see it. Wear many hats. Part of that hat sometimes involves receiving the gift of the phrase, "I don't know how." I hear it a lot. Sometimes it means I don't know how to do the dishes. It's a house of like 8 guys not knowing how to do the dishes. But a lot of it has to do with recovery and trauma. And we work through that. But I don't know how. I don't know how to ring and sing a Bolin bell. Okay. No. This is Jubilee. This is where we innovate. We figure it out. Remember the first time I ever tried to ring one of these things, it sounded awful. One of the things I love about our community is that we face so many interesting and intriguing challenges. And like Laura just said, we've never missed a Sunday. We have never missed a Sunday. I like counting things, and I think it was something like 5,000 Sundays since 1989. Kids, I don't know how. Okay, I won't teach you. No, we find a way to teach. We find a way to teach. Necessity, mother of invention. goddess. Mother Earth, where there is a need, we're fed. The God, we breathe it. Innovation, meeting that need. It's holy stuff. It's holy stuff. It's holy stuff. So prayer is meeting a need. It's holy stuff. I invite you to light a candle at the western wall. There are many prayers on our prayer chain right now. And I'm sure that there are many prayers in your heart. Ring and sing your bowls and bells. Maybe for the first time. Maybe for the 1,000th time. What you need, tell your mom today. What you need, tell your papa today. What you need, teach your children today. Breathe deeply. Holy One, receive these prayers. Amen and oh yeah. And after we sing, let's share a holy peace. Maybe in an innovative way.
For
How are we doing? Oh, look at that. Sound is on. Listen now for these ancient words. From Isaiah 43, God said, I'm about to do a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Friends, this is ancient wisdom and holy word.
Thanks be to all that is wise and holy.
All creation is wisdom and holy word.
All creation sings the wisdom of God.
Hallelujah. So, Chris was supposed to be preaching this morning. He has a pretty good excuse. Yeah, bless his heart. He was without power. What can I do here? Let's get this right from the beginning here. I can't hear you. See you. Pull it farther out.
Point it at your chin.
I can't see it. I don't know. Is it pointed at my chin?
You're good. You're good.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so Chris, he's down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was without power for several days. I reached out to him Monday morning to see how he was doing. And by Tuesday afternoon, he got back to me and he said, yeah, I don't think I'm going to make it there this week. And I said, no problem. And hopefully he'll be with us later this fall. We'll figure that out as we go along. But then I looked at my calendar and I was booked up between Tuesday afternoon and this morning at 9:45, pretty solid. So I thought, well, we are dancing with innovation for sure this week because the Spirit got to innovate something on Sunday morning for me. But in the meantime, I went to this Wild Goose Festival that I told you about. Spirit, Justice, Music, Art, a festival of spiritual innovation. So today I want to share with you what one of the main stage speakers shared with us. The Reverend Dr. James Forbes was one of the speakers. Some of you may know who he is. If you don't, I want to introduce you to him. James Forbes is one of the premier preachers, Christian preachers in America today and has been for decades. He was a teacher of homiletics at Union Theological Seminary in New York City for many, many years. He was the senior minister of the Riverside Church in New York City, which was one of the largest multicultural churches in America. He was their first black preacher there. And he is just a bundle of energy and fun. His birthday is tomorrow, and he's going to be 86 years old, and he was up dancing on the stage like nobody's business. So what he said to us is, you know, I just want to talk to you today about what is on my heart. And what was on his heart took a lot of us by surprise. What was on his heart is Dylann Roof. Do you remember who Dylann Roof is? Dylann Roof is the man who went to a Bible study at Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston, South Carolina. And after sitting in Bible study with those folks for an hour, pulled out a gun and killed 9 of them and injured 3. Dylann Roof was on the heart of Dr. Forbes. Dylann has been sentenced to death for hate crimes and is in federal prison in Indiana. By his own confession, he intended to start a race war, and he chose Mother Emanuel Church specifically for its significance in the history of the black church in America. So there he was in a Bible study, and suddenly Dr. Forbes wondered, well, what were they studying that night? Of all the questions I've asked, that question had never crossed my mind. So he did a lot of research, he talked to some of the survivors, and he found out and presented us with 3 action items based on what he found out. The first is that he wants to gain an audience with Dylan Roof in prison to talk to him about the passage that they were studying that night. So did you know that Roof intended to kill himself that night also? He shot his rounds of all the people there, and then he put the gun to his head. And we know this because there were 3 survivors to tell us the story. But he was out of ammunition. And Dr. Forbes wondered with us, if Roof could listen to that Bible study for an hour and still do what he did, maybe he was kept alive because God's word hadn't finished its job of working on him yet. So Forbes wants to go to prison to help him digest more of that word, that message that started working on him on June 17th, 6.5 years ago, but isn't done with him yet. The second action item is that on June 17th next year, it will be the 7th anniversary of the shooting. And Dr. Forbes wants congregations across the country, and he's starting working on this now, spreading the word to every denomination and to independent churches like us, to get together, every denomination, every type of faith community, to gather for Bible study and to study the passage that was being studied by Mother Emanuel that night. So I'm inviting you, Jubilee, to put that on your calendars now, Friday night, June 17th next year. The third is that he wants preachers across the nation to preach on that passage that same weekend, which will also be Juneteenth, June 19th. Well, since I won't be with you next June, I decided to jump the gun and go ahead and talk to you about it today. So what was the passage? It was a parable of Jesus, often parable of the sower. Now, this is a very familiar passage, but let me remind you of it. A farmer planted some seed, and as he scattered the seed, some of it fell on the road and birds ate it up. And some of it fell in the gravel, and it sprouted quickly, but it couldn't put down roots, so when the sun came up, it just withered away. And some fell in the weeds, and as it grew up, it was strangled by the weeds, and nothing came of it. But some of the seed fell on good soil and came up with a flourish, producing a harvest exceeding the farmer's wildest dreams. Now, usually when you hear an interpretation of this, you see the farmer as God. God spreading the word, spreading the good news, spreading truth, spreading love, spreading justice, spreading healing, spreading all that is good and holy and true. And the seed that's trying to grow up is that life of the Spirit, that life of the Spirit that is being spread out, is being thrown out, that love, that justice, that healing that makes itself known in our lives and in our world. So the soil is us. Now, having grown up in the Midwest, I saw a lot of big farms and big John Deere tractors and big combines. And I sort of have to get that kind of farming out of my head to picture this story. Because in Galilee, you would have been a small farmer, and they would have a pouch, and they would do what's called broadcasting. They would just reach in and broadcast the seed. It seems kind of wasteful to me now. You know, they didn't have it already plowed up and ready to go. And then they would go back later or afterwards and plow in the seed that had been scattered. So that's when they would discover, oh, there's rocks there. That's not going to work. Oh, the birds have already gotten that was out in the path. Oh, you know, it starts to come up, and weeds are also there, and it gets choked out. But also, there would be the good earth. Now, of course, we can think of this individually, where in our personal lives is the goodness and blessing of life in the Spirit just lying on the road, ready to get picked up by whatever comes along next. Where have we put down shallow roots so that with the first blistering sun or the first bit of heat, we wither and die? Or where does the love of God in our lives get choked by the thorns, the weeds of daily living? But I encourage you to think of this communally too. Take this community, for example. Original blessing, innovative community, wild, free spirit, beauty, dance, music, justice. Where do we leave this gift just lying around to be picked apart and eaten up? Where do we let this gift fall on shallow ground so that on a hot week, the rocky roots can't find their source, can't make their way down to the water table to stay hydrated and keep growing? Where do we let this gift get choked by the weeds of life, choked by thorns, strangled by weeds? What are the weeds and the thorns that put the growth of this community at risk? And where's the good soil? Where can the gift, the seed planted 32 years ago, find fertile ground? Where is the growth possible? Where is the growth possible? Now, Dr. Forbes wanted to be sure that we put this parable into context. It's found in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and the Gospel of Thomas, so it was clearly an important teaching. In Mark, it comes in chapter 4, and here's what happened in chapter 3. Jesus goes to a synagogue in his hometown, and there's a man there with a withered hand, and he wants to heal the man, but he knows that if he does, people will say he worked on the Sabbath. So before he heals the man, he looks around at everyone in the room and he says, is it right to do good or to do harm on the Sabbath? And then he invites the man to stretch out his hand and receive healing. And from that day on, the text reads, the religious and government leaders got together to plot a way to kill Jesus. We're only in chapter 3 of Mark, and they're already plotting to kill him. Doesn't take much. Just wanting to do good. So the parable of God casting the seeds of goodness, of healing, of justice, of truth into the world comes in the context of Jesus already having pissed off the powers that be, of already having a death sentence hanging over him. For what? For healing. And this reminds us that when we seek to bring healing into the world or our communities or even our own hearts, it's not always accepted with open arms, with joy, with gratitude. Because healing requires change. And change upsets the status quo. And defenders of the status quo will always rise up to choke out new possibilities. So Forbes has this big vision for this parable. He sees this parable as meant for the crisis moment that we find ourselves in. This moment when the very soul of America is at risk. This moment when the very life of our planet is at risk. This is a choice point we are living in. What kind of soil are we going to be in this country? Can the word of holy wisdom find a place to take root? All creation is wisdom and holy word. Hallelujah. Can we hear it? Can we let that holy word of creation, holy wisdom, take root in our own hearts? In our own spiritual community, in our nation, in our world, on our planet? What if this parable is not the parable of the sower, but the parable of the soil? The parable of the choice we each have in creating the ground that is ready to receive goodness and let it grow, to let justice take root, to let blessing find a home, to let beauty come into full bloom. What will that look like? What will that take? How will we harvest the wisdom that comes forth? Can we fall so deeply in love with a vision that we can work to remove the rocks and the thorns that keep it from growing? Now, I spoke for a moment at the beginning of the celebration today about this table of ministers and others sharing their favorite tarot card decks around a conversation table. Now, that might sound completely disconnected from this energy of the parable that I've just been sharing with you, this call to action to become the soil needed for wisdom to take root, but it really isn't. The people around that tarot card table were all seeking ways of tapping in to the deep beauty, the rich inner knowing, the holy intuition that we all have access to. We talked about playing with spirit, about meditating on beauty, about longing to hear God's voice. And we agreed that sometimes we hear it in a Bible story, like this parable we're talking about today, and sometimes we dance to it when a song comes on the radio that may not sound like it's about God. And sometimes we see it in a creative image of an archetype. Sometimes we play with spirit because it's in our DNA to find new ways of listening, of seeing, of hearing. There are lots of ways of listening for spirit. There are many ways of dancing with the divine. There are many ways of preparing the soil of our hearts to receive the seeds of wisdom. And when we join in community, the seeds can become a harvest that, as the parable said, exceeds our wildest dreams. A harvest exceeding our wildest dreams. A harvest exceeding our wildest dreams. So I want to invite you for a moment. And so you can keep playing. That's beautiful. I want you to invite you for a moment to just take a deep breath. And if you feel like closing your eyes, you might close your eyes. Or if you feel like looking at those gorgeous flowers in the middle of the room, you might focus on that. You might look up at the earth, that beautiful sculpture that we keep at our center. You might look at the prayer flags waving and remember that somebody here wrote each of those prayer flags. They came from somebody's heart. You might look back at the candles lit on the table, the prayers that were offered during our singing of the Tibetan bowls this morning. You might read one of the beautiful sayings we keep around us to remind us laughter is carbonated holiness. Just take a moment. Take a moment. There is a dream. There is a dream that wants to be planted in you. There is a dream of justice, of healing, of beauty, of grace, of love, of healing, of joy, a dancing vision and dream. And you have access to it. You don't need a priest or a guardian. You don't need anybody else. You have access to it. So tap in. However you tap in. The seed is being scattered. Open yourself up to be that soil where it can sink in and grow and bloom a harvest exceeding our wildest dreams. Oh, yeah. Now, I just realized that I had placed in the bulletin the blessing of Daniel before all this, but I think it's better that we had it after it anyway. So we're going to bless Daniel. So I want to invite Daniel to come forward, and I'm going to invite Jay and Yona to come forward, and Howard to come forward. And we're going to start. Well, Sue is going to stay at the piano because Sue's got something for us. Yeah. So we're going to start with Sue. Yeah, Sue is the. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. You need the mic?
No. I need Daniel up here at the piano with me.
Okay, all right. Daniel, you are needed at the piano.
Mike, this is your mic, and I brought some instruments for you. Okay. All right. We know you're leaving. We want you to be here, but we know you're leaving. So, pick one of these. All right. There's a button on the back. I'll cue you. So, the last 20 years or so, everybody's been kind of getting to find out who you are and such, right? Okay, so this is how it's been. You need to get this one close to mine. What did he do? To you. Maybe you were a nobody when you got here, but let's see what this is. You're nobody till somebody loves you. Yeah, you got a lot of love here, haven't you? You're nobody till somebody cares. And you got plans? No. Okay. Don't be like this. He's a real man sitting in his chair, making all his plans for nobody. Don't only be back at Jubilee religiously, like only at Easter and Christmas. Okay, hit it. Where'd that puppy go? It's one more. You need one more. Ain't no sunshine when he's gone. It's the home when he's away. You gotta go to the. Ain't no sunshine when he's gone.
quick from our staff, and don't sit down, you gotta come back in the middle, be with us, hear from us.
It's flashing all sorts of colors over here. All right, wow, how do you follow that? No, you can't. Daniel, you have blessed us and you have blessed me for such a long time. Back when you were indeed Scott. It was one of my first memories. It was very clear of you when Howard rebaptized you and the hair that was on your head. We have gone through such a journey from when you were over there to over here to now standing across from you. It's been such an honor and such a pleasure for all of us that are in this building, all of us that are watching, and all of us that are touching you right now and have touched your lives. You have touched ours. God bless you, Daniel Barber.
Well, thank you, Daniel. You know, I started to come into Jubilee because of a little bald-headed white man. And when I got here, I kind of looked around to find some comfort levels, and there was another bald-headed white man over there behind the piano. But he had on a cool vest and a cool Native American necklace. And that made me feel a little bit comfortable. And just through our conversations and the life that you lead, not only here at Jubilee, but the life that you lead outside of here, giving back to the earth through music, through finding that path, through just letting your heart sing. Thank you. Thank you for helping me to grow and for helping me to find a home here amongst this beautiful community. You're so loved and so honored and so respected, and it's an honor to be here for you today in a good way.
You gotta get closer. Not too close. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he struck him on the hip socket. And with his hips out of joint, he wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." But Joseph said, "I will not let you go until you bless me." So he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." The man said, "You shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. Israel, because you have striven with God and with humans and have prevailed." God knew what he was talking about there. You have striven with God and with humans and with Jubilee, which I think was the man's name. We think it was God, we think it was whatever, but it was Jubilee. Jubilee. You have striven with them, meaning you have made a difference. You have touched them. We're glad, we're so glad that you have, because we would not be Jubilee without it. We love you. Do you know that? We love you beyond all telling. And if something happens, it's okay. I love you dearly.
To rub your hands together, warm them up. Feel some spirit moving through them. Feel the connection between your heart and your hands. And send that love right at Daniel. And I invite you to repeat after me. Daniel Barber, we bless you.
Daniel Barber, we bless you.
We thank you for your 20 years of service.
We thank you for your 20 years of service.
We thank you for rocking that piano.
We thank you for rocking that piano.
We thank you for beating those drums.
We thank you for beating those drums.
We thank you for growing in the Spirit.
We thank you for growing in your spirit.
We thank you for leading the dance.
We thank you for leading the dance.
Daniel Barber, we bless you.
Daniel Barber, we bless you.
We bless you for sharing your laughter and your tears.
We bless you for sharing your laughter and your tears.
We bless you for sharing your gifts and your grace.
We bless you for sharing your gifts and your grace.
We bless you for sharing your wisdom and your wit.
We bless you for sharing your wisdom and your wit.
We bless you for sharing your presence and your purpose.
We bless you for sharing your presence and your purpose.
Daniel Barber, we bless you.
Daniel Barber, we bless you.
We bless you to go in peace.
We bless you to go with peace.
We bless you to go with grace.
We bless you to go with grace.
We bless you with the abundance, and to have abundance in all that you do.
We bless you with abundance in all that you do.
And we bless you with love.
We bless you with love.
Daniel Barber, we love you.
Daniel Barber, we love you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody know that tomorrow, what tomorrow is?
What's tomorrow?
It's Rosh
Rosh
Hashanah.
Oh, it's Rosh Hashanah tomorrow. I didn't even mention that today, yes.
New day. It's a new day.
Ah, very good. Thanks for that.
Lashana Tova.
Lashana Tova!
So I want, yes, and I want Daniel to stay in the circle as we're going to pass the bowls around with our song. Daniel's going to stay here afterwards, and we're going to have a chance to we're going to show a little video, we're going to have a little open mic to hear some more stories. But for this moment, we bless you, and we're glad you're here and have been for so long. Let's pass those bowls around, and let's start our next song.
Gifts from you to me, gifts that left us free. Peace from me to you, peace is moving through this river of love, and it flows on through this river of love, and it flows through you. Peace from me to you. Share your holy peace of
This is Daniel's song. Let's sing it loud for him. It's a river of love, and let it wash through you. Let's sing that last bit one more time.
It's a river of love, and it flows on through. It's a river of love, let it wash through you.
Shofar, which is the key to a newness. It's the beginning. It's a new beginning, and Daniel is going to try to play it.
You can't lead Jubilee without embarrassing yourself.
So again, Jubilee, let's be reminded that in this moment of all the energy that you've given in form of this money and love for the community, that in this opportunity, that this is just an offering, and that it's up to the community and to the energies of the universe to receive it. So this is what this action is that we're honoring. We're honoring the gift, giving the universe the opportunity to receive for the past, the present, and the future.
So stick around afterwards and we're going to party with Daniel, but let's sing our way out.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but no one there. We will get there, heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It may be hard, we know, and the road may be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. 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 We know we will.
Come back in here.
One, two, three. Ready? All right, are you ready, everybody? Circle up for a second. Circle up. We need your participation. All right, here we go. One, two. Put your right foot in, put your right foot out, put your right foot in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. You put your left foot in, you put your left foot out, you put your left foot in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. You put your right hand in, you put your right hand out, you put your right hand in, and you shake it all about. You put the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. You put your left hand in, you put your left hand out, you put your left hand in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn around, and that's what it's all about. You put your whole self in. You're doing it. And you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. And that's what it's all about. Put your leg in. You put your whole self in. Your whole self out. Whole self in. Shake it all about. Left foot in.
Thank you, Laura. So I might look like a white bald guy, but I definitely have Native American love in my veins. Maybe in blood, I don't know. Well, yeah. Hello, right? Yeah, hopefully. It's all relative, right? I mean, we're all you know, you might actually be Mongolian.
Pretty sure
Irish? Oh, yeah. Hey, what's the difference between an Irish, what's one of the differences between an Irish wedding and an Irish funeral? One has a yeah. True, look it up. I had a captive audience for
Daniel. Thank you so much for your song, for your humor, especially for your wisdom. Thank you.
Yes, I do get Danielle.
That's that's a sure. That's cool. When it happens, so I just wanted to make sure that it was good. And next week, we're going to need to be I'll be here this week.
Thank you. Back in. If everybody, so is this on? If everybody could come back in and take a seat, we're gonna have a little celebration of Daniel. Come on back. We're gonna celebrate Daniel. Everybody come on back, come on back. Come on back. There will still be time to talk afterwards. I promise we won't make you stop talking later, but we're gonna make you stop talking now. Daniel, I think you need a seat of honor here, bud. No, that's fine, you're good. You wanna sit? Just somewhere in the front row, somewhere where we can see you. Okay, I have been informed that there are technical difficulties right now with getting the tribute video going. So that was going to be first, but now it's going to be last because the last shall be first and all that good stuff. So, but the other thing that we want to do is to offer a little open mic time. If you have a Daniel story or blessing or thank you that you want to share with us today, and I know, where's Yona? I know Yona's got something he wants to share, but I don't see Yona right now, so we won't start with Yona. So who feels like going first? Okay.
My name is Kitty Schaller, and I was pretty new in Asheville in 2002-03 when Daniel came to town. And I was at Manna Food Bank. Every now and then, there's some sort of this isn't the only community I belong to. I belong to Manna too. And we had community, and we needed somebody to kind of pull it together and help us do events. And I found out about Daniel Barber, not because I went looking for him, because he came looking for us. And every time from then on, when I needed somebody to sing, play, dance, or help us figure out an event, this is the guy. And I respect his skill, his talent, but most of all, I always respected the yes. Thanks.
Thank you, Kitty. Anybody else want to share a Daniel moment? I'll go next. I see people kind of like on the edges. Susie, do you want to share something?
No, just real quickly. There's so many things to say, but I had a memory this morning that just hit me of what were they called? The Peruvian nose.
The Lithuanian nose flute choir.
That's right. That was great fun, real innovative offering of music at Jubilee, and that just kind of summed it up for me.
Is Yona back there? Do y'all see Yona? I know he has a song he wants to share this morning. I'm going to find him. He left? He told me he was going to share a song. He said, I definitely have a song to share. I think maybe wait to get this instrument. Okay. Well, Daniel, so when I started reading the main thing, I was surprised to find that Daniel had written about something that he and I did together back in January of 2010. And I had spoken a few times at Jubilee at that point. Howard had invited me to preach here a few times in 2008, 2009. And I was really struggling. I wanted so much to be like Howard, so I would spend hours trying to come up with a song and find out about the musician, because you know how Howard was so good at telling us about musicians and weaving songs in, and I was just so out of my wheelhouse. So I would spend so much time on it. So I get this text, not text like we get now, but when I find out the week that I'm speaking, the text for the day is about this guy with demons that are going to be cast out. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Come on. Howard, this is what you put in the seeds for this week? Okay, I'll see if I can make this work. And I was dating a musician at the time, and he heard that I wanted to speak about demons, and he's not a church guy at all. and he just started like jamming on his guitar right away to the Stones. The Sympathy for the Devil, right, Sympathy for the Devil. And I laughingly said something to Daniel about that. I said, Daniel, I'm gonna need help with a song for this week. The best my boyfriend's come up with is Sympathy for the Devil with the Stones, and I don't think that'll work. And he was like, oh my gosh, that will work. I've always wanted to do the Stones, Sympathy for the Devil, at Jubilee, in church. And so for those of you who know Tebby Davis, Tebby came to play the devil with us. And we had a lot of fun that Sunday, playing the devil and playing with the devil. And then just yesterday, so that's sort of the beginning of my association with Daniel Barber. We began with demons. And then from there, yesterday I was leading a workshop at Wild Goose, and this guy at the end of the workshop announced, he said, oh tonight you guys, there's going to be this great thing that will be, that will really, really help with this workshop. It'll be like a tying it together, because we're doing a workshop on all, moving through grief and so forth. He says, the Cosmic Mass at 5 o'clock. And I went, oh, because there was supposed to be a Cosmic Mass, but the various players, of whom Daniel was one, all had ended up not being able to do this as the time got closer, so the Cosmic Mass wasn't helping. So my thing is, Daniel, there's a Cosmic Mass still waiting to happen. I know you've led lots of them, but I don't think we're done with you leading Cosmic Masses yet, because I haven't yet gotten to experience a Cosmic Mass with you. So. Laura.
This follows well. You know, to me, the key mantra in life is trying to connect the heart and the mind. And to me, that's what Daniel has done all along through celebrations that I've been a part of, that we've all been a part of in terms of the music and the words. And in the past couple of years, I've had the chance to work with Daniel closely, and I've just been amazed at his ideas. I want you to look at this. Is this a symbolic gift? Doesn't this look a little bit like Daniel? And so I want to present to you a gift of thanks for all of your ideas and for your music.
Looks like a little scary. I don't want to sit on a brick wall.
Are we okay over there? No? Technical people? How's the tech coming? No tech yet? Okay. Well, there will be a tribute video that you will be able to see, Daniel, that we all will be able to see, that a lot of people put together for you. I guess it's not going to happen today. Is that right, Michelle? Okay. They're still working. All right, while they're still working on the tech, anybody else have a Daniel story you want to share? That was the sound of it. Anybody else have a Daniel story you want to share? You want to...
A little bit, maybe embarrassing. And therefore appropriate.
I've never heard you say anything appropriate.
Well, this will continue that. Yes. As Daniel said, as he said to us in private, that I used to wake him up on Sunday mornings because he did not. He just needed to be awakened because on 8:30 mornings he would not be. Many times he was in fact, we ought to dock your pay for that, you know?
Cut me in half, 50%.
Yeah, but he was on this one particular morning. He was particularly flustered, and he said, "Excuse me, just I'll be back." And I thought, what's gone? Are you well? It's, yeah, just a second. I said, what's going on? And then I heard a woman's voice. and that's all I knew. But that's all I needed to know. He's a ladies' man.
Yeah, I just like to relay a very short story. Yeah, a very short story here that, to me, it really, for me, became a really strong indication of the man, who this beautiful man is here. Oh, I think it was 2013 or so. My late wife, Nina, and I, we needed to get her to a cancer clinic in Freeport, Bahama. And, you know, we'd already spent a couple $100,000 on things and kind of tight. So Nina's idea was, well, maybe somebody'd like to take a little vacation to Freeport and share a condo with us, and we can split the cost and stuff like that. So I tried to say this without cracking up, but Daniel heard about this, and he said, I'd like to come. And he not only came, but he came as a minister. Sure, entertainment, he's great, but we all know that an entertainer ain't necessarily a minister. And he came, and he ministered to us. He took us places, treated us to things, dinners, and events and things like that, because he wanted to. And he said, hey, I can do it, why not? That was his attitude, and that's the attitude of a true minister. So this is something I really learned about Daniel, very up close and personal, and I love you, man.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Bob. I think there wasn't cake today. Is that true? I never got out of this room, so it was advertised as being cake. And I just want to explain the reason for that. Like a lot of things recently, there are all these emails going back and forth. Like, what can we do with COVID? Should we, with the Sunday mornings, we're making all these decisions. With the retreats, you know, we were on a lot of those meetings together. How do we handle this with COVID? And so the decision this week was, yeah, we're not sure everyone getting in there and cutting cake and sharing it with each other is the best idea. So, I know that's why all of you came. But I just wanted you to know that in our hearts, Daniel, we were sharing a cake with you. So we owe you a cake. We owe you a cake. So. Yeah, tasting it. So I'd like to invite, I don't think we're going to get to, are we going to get to the video? No. Okay. You want to share something? Okay.
We didn't know that we couldn't put the video directly on the computer and that it won't work that way. So this is a learning for us. The video is going to be on the website and on Facebook, and I will post Facebook links later today when it's available so that you all can watch it that way, and I will send a link directly to Daniel.
Okay. Oh, is Jonah back there counting the money? Okay. Oh, all right. Okay, so what I'm going to invite us to do now is to circle up, since we don't have the video, if we could circle up again. And Paula, I'm putting you totally on the spot. Well, I just wanted to keep the tradition going, right? But this morning, Paula, if you didn't get here early, you didn't know that Paula sang as our prelude an original song of Daniel's. And I'll put you on the spot, but I'll give you some choices. You could do that again, so we could all hear it again, and Daniel could really hear his own words being shared with this community on Words and Music. Or if you have a favorite song you've done with Daniel over the years that you could lead us in, that would be another option. Or both.
The electric slide? It was the electric slide.
We did a gig once with our wedding band, and somebody requested the electric slide, and Paula literally said, "No way, no hell, no how," and she walked off the stage and sat in the corner of the ballroom while we.
I said, "I'm sorry, I don't do that." I had just arrived from New York, and when you arrive here from New York, there's a lot of things you don't want to do, and then you end up doing them, especially when you know this guy.
You're so welcome.
I have broken down so many of my previous, no's for you, including singing in a barn with tuxedos and a long gown. And I said, "Daniel, I've never been asked to sing in a barn in a long evening gown."
And you look lovely.
That's barn with an N.
Barn.
It was a barn.
That's 1,000 strong.
So, I don't know if you still got the mic.
All right, well, I can hold the mic here.
Oh, wait, it's on. I'll use this one. It's here, it's on.
All right, I asked you to stand up maybe a minute too soon. Let's sit down for the song. Sorry. But we're winging it here. That's so unusual at Jubilee.
So Daniel has a CD called Marsupial Road. Anybody got it in their collection? And this is definitely my version of the song. So if you hear it on the CD, it'll sound completely different with primarily guitar and Daniel singing and all sorts of, harmonies. But it's when you have a beautiful song, you can keep it simple. Here it is. Dreaming a new creation, feeling into the world, fathom the stars around us, holding a baby girl. I'm thankful, so thankful. Stepping into a forest, magic among the trees, treasure the ground to walk on, holy the air to breathe. I'm thankful, so thankful. I could fill an ocean with the tears that I could cry, remembering the moments that are now gone by. Still, there is a blessing in the conjuring of how to live the precious moments left that stand before us now. Feeding a hungry angel, bearing a broken heart, opening, releasing a masterwork of art. I'm thankful, so thankful. I could fill an ocean with the tears that I could cry, remembering the moments that I missed and are gone by. Still, there is a blessing in the conjuring of how to live the precious moments left that stand before us now. Giving love to each other, living it day by day, honey bread for the journey, joy
so thankful.
Standing ovation, not only for the singer, but for the songwriter. Yay. So one of these days, we're going to party more fun. We're going to have more fun partying again.
I want to, when did you introduce us to her? To Paula? 2007. Daniel has made a habit of introducing great things to Jubilee. And Paula, he called up one time and he said, "You're not going to believe this singer. I just heard
just
her.
getting to know you and
got
you're sharing some
and it was
laughs
wonderful.
and just you
just one of
said
thousands.
such insightful, profound.
I think the video might be working soon.
And anyway, and Daniel, Paula, thank you. Daniel, thank you.
I got to say this real quick. So people would come up to the bandstand after services often, and say, "Hey, I play this and I play that, and can I play with y'all?" And at some point, we already had like 7 or 8 people in the band, and we were in corners and we were packed, and it was really hard to draw the line sometimes. And Paula came up 2 or 3 Sundays and said, "I'm new to town and I love to sing, and I'd love to sing with y'all sometime." I was like, "That'd be great. See ya." And then next Sunday she'd come up, and like 2 or 3 Sundays in, she's like, "Really, I'd really love to sing with you sometime." I said, "Okay, well, let's set up a thing for the gift," because the gift was a great way to just audition people. And so, which I don't usually say in public, but it was often. And so she said, so we got together, she and I got together in that corner over there, and she said, "Let's just do Over the Rainbow." And she said, "Just play it." She said, "Just steady beat." She said, "I'm going to drag behind it, so you just hang in with the rhythm and just go with it." And I started playing, and she started singing, and I was like, "Oh my God." And it was, at that moment, that was like the best musical experience I had ever had in my life, in that moment. And I went over and I told that to Howard, and yeah.
It looks like the video can go now. All right, let's sit back down and watch the video.
It's just magic. Your ability to improvise. And
Daniel,
when I say
Daniel.
improvise in the world of
Thank
theater
you
improvisation,
so much.
we talk
for
about the
your
yes
music,
and,
for your
where you say
songs,
yes to what
for your
is and
humor.
then add something to it, and that is what your music does at Jubilee. You read the room, you read the space, you read the feeling, and you say yes to it, and then you add the thing, you drop the drop that just makes it
Daniel,
feel,
Daniel,
makes it
Daniel.
sing and makes it
Thank you
live,
so much for your music, for your songs,
there are times
for your
when
humor,
I was working with you that
especially for
I
your
thought,
wisdom. Thank you for not being afraid to start a song over again once you've already started it. And for that matter, starting your life over again. That's very inspiring to me, and I'm sure it is to many more. Thank you for all the Christmas carols and for all the fun and for the thousands and thousands of things. May the blessings of God be upon you each and every day of your life. Thank you.
Daniel, this is Lisa. I have always enjoyed the music that you offered at Jubilee. Your piano playing, your singing, your thoughtful songs, your fun songs, and just the joyful presence that you were always at Jubilee. And I miss being able to hug you, but with COVID, that's kind of not been so possible. Also, I just want to thank you for times that I've told you about my personal life and some issue or problem I was having, and you would always say, "Well, Lisa, have you thought about it this way?" And it was always a way I hadn't thought about and maybe didn't want to think about. But you always kind of nudged me towards that place to kind of look at my life a little bit more objectively. And I appreciated that, although maybe not at the time. So anyway, I hope your life is so full of joy that you just can't stand it. And please come and visit.
This is Mark Foster. Just wanted to say I have one regret. Having been a percussionist for my entire life, I got my first drum kit when I was 13 years old, and have been playing congas and djembe now for the last 20 years. The big regret is that I never got to play with the World Beat Band. So sad for me. But on a cheerier note, having served on church staff for 15 years myself, when the day came and it was time for me to leave, I know the emotions that it took to make that decision. So I think I understand a little bit about how you're feeling. And I just want to say, brother, you're going to have a wonderful, rich future ahead. The universe is going to deal out some amazing blessings for you in the months and years ahead. So happy trails, sending you lots of peace and lots of love.
Daniel, through your music, you are helping us move from our heads to our bodies and our heart. You're changing us and you're healing the world. Thank you.
Hey, Daniel. Thanks so much for being such a great minister of music over the years. For many of us, music is the essence of Jubilee, and your playing lifted our spirits many, many times. I always enjoyed the jazz standards you played during the warm-up period as well. Nothing like a good swing tune or bossa nova to get a celebration rolling. So please take care and be well. You deserve it.
Almost 15 years in a minute. We have been through so much and had so many great talks, so many difficult talks, so many tears, so much laughter, so many rehearsals, weddings, private events, services, all those fun dance parties at Jubilee. I mean, I could go on. And you know how much I adore you. You're very special. I appreciate how deeply we've communicated all these years, and how easy it is for me to speak openly and honestly with you, and for your ear to be always so open and available. I want to thank you for knowing exactly the right question to ask me all those years ago when I had to decide if I wanted a doggy in my life, and you asked me the perfect question. And that troublemaker has been in my life all these years. And do you remember this? I'll end it right.
Hi, Daniel. My favorite memory of you actually dates back to 2007, 2008, when I came up from Florida to attend the New Vision Women's Spiritual Retreat led by Elizabeth Stamper. And you and some other drummers generously made time for us to all get together one evening and have a celebration with your drum playing, our drum playing, dancing, just really getting into the moment, into the movement. And that generosity and openness and sharing of your gifts has continued throughout the time Mike and I have been coming to Jubilee. And I really appreciate the way you have co-created celebrations with the ministers of ritual and by engaging all of us. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts. And I wish you the very best always. Look forward to seeing you again. Take good care.
Hey, Daniel. So glad you changed your mind about stepping aside at Jubilee. I mean, how could you not change your mind? With so many jubilants raving about your myriad contributions to just about every aspect of Jubilee's existence. Okay, please don't tell me I'm wrong. I mean, you just can't leave. If you do, who's going to come up with the perfectly timed wisecracks when someone's delivering the message and blanks out? Who's going to tickle those ivories as masterfully as you do? And who's going to fill in for someone else at the last minute and do an even better job than they would have done? Oh, and I learned something interesting as I was trying to find something, anything to say. I learned that Daniel means God is my judge, or God is my strength. You, Daniel, have been the strength of Jubilee for so many years. And whether you are right or wrong, well, that's up to God to decide and judge, right?
Hi, Daniel. I can't thank you enough for the hours of entertainment and beautiful music you brought to Jubilee, and tell you how much pleasure it's brought me over the years. While I'll miss you dearly, I, for one, am very excited about the new path you're on, and I wish you all the success that you deserve. Love you, brother.
Hi, Daniel. I want to thank you for singing your soul in such beautiful ways over the last 20 years, and say it will be a bizarre experience not to hear you on Sunday mornings. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for the changes ahead, and we'll also miss you. Take good care.
Hi, Daniel. This is Elizabeth Lycus, and I just want to say I am so proud of you for doing what you needed to do to make some of your other dreams come true. And I just want to say you have been Jubilee for me. You've been the most consistent person in my 21 years at Jubilee in terms of someone who has moved me, whose music always impacts me, and that I think has had such a huge key part of making the Jubilee community what it is. So one of my favorite memories of you was when we were at a choir retreat, when you were our accompanist, how do you say that? And we were out at Laughing Waters, and I was just getting to know you, and we were sharing some laughs, and just you said such insightful, profound things, and I have always appreciated you. So I wish you well on your next endeavor.
Dear Daniel, here is another expression of gratitude for you being part of the heart and soul of Jubilee, for making music, for improving, and helping us all dance and feel in our hearts. Thank you, too, for being super thoughtful about your feelings and your thoughts and your position in life, and communicating well. Please feel the community supporting you in this transformativa. We love you, and we wish you well, and we're always connected.
Hey, Daniel, I'm sitting here in this spot where we've had way too many Zoom meetings together. But long before the Zoom meetings, we were sympathizing with the devil together right there in Wall Street. And more recently, teeter-tottering together between positiva and negativa. And I'm really grateful I had the chance to work with you on those retreats, as well as work with you this past year. And who knows, maybe there's a cosmic mass in our future. Whatever it is, if you're involved, I know there'll be a lot of authenticity and creativity and love, because it's all a big river of love. Take care.
Daniel, hey buddy. Oh my goodness. My heart is just full to the point of breaking at the thought of Jubilee losing you. You are a gift, and you are magic. That's the only word that comes to mind when I think about you, Daniel, and what you bring and what your talents are. It's just magic. Your ability to improvise. And when I say improvise, in the world of theater improvisation, we talk about the yes and, where you say yes to what is and then add something to it. And that is what your music does at Jubilee. You read the room, you read the space, you read the feeling, and you say yes to it. And then you add the thing, you drop the drop that just makes it go and makes it sing and makes it live. And you create that beautiful ritual. And there are times when I was working with you that I thought, he read my mind. That's exactly it. If that's exactly what needed to happen at exactly this moment, that was so cool. And then other moments, it's like you knew before I knew. And you would add something. And at first I would think, whoa, what's this? And then I would say, oh, yeah, that's right. That's exactly what this moment needs. And I would just feel buoyed up by what you had offered and what you were giving in that moment. And I always felt so completely safe working with you. I just always knew that you had my back. And I think that's the other thing I want to say, is your steadiness, like your steadiness in the services. Like I just always knew that you were there and you were present and you were there to catch me when I screwed up. and then through all of these crazy transitions that Jubilee has had, you've just maintained such a beautiful, steady presence that I am eternally grateful for. Daniel, thank you so much for everything that you have offered. And you will be missed and missed and missed. Love you, buddy. Bye.
Hey, Daniel. Thanks so much for all the joy and wisdom and laughter you've brought to us over the last 20 years.
We're so delighted for the new adventures you have ahead of you, even though it means that you won't be with us at Jubilee. We know you're going to grace the world with your gifts and look forward to hearing about what you're doing and how you're going forward.
We wish you well, my friend. Take care.
Hey, Daniel, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all your time and energy and years that you put into Jubilee and Jubilee's community. Your creativity has touched so many lives, and you are such a part of Jubilee that I'm not even sure how we can make it without you. But I just wanted to pop on real quick and just say thanks so much, and we will miss you, and hope that you will come in and see us, and don't be shy. But and congratulations for 20 years of amazing, heartfelt work. You the man.
Daniel, what a hoot it's been. From the very first XLR cable, yes, I do know what those are now, to logging into the very first Zoom, it has been a wild and woolly journey. I'll never forget the day that we ordained your butt. Well, actually, when I put the stole on your head. And I can't wait to see what the journey has in store for you. To quote the inimitable Mama Cass, keep making your own kind of music, brother. Much love.